Greetings, friends. I am Oxal. We greet you in the light and the love of our one infinite Creator. We extend our vibrations of love and support and camaraderie to all of you who are as soldiers on the battlefield in your skirmishes of polarity. We rejoice in your triumphs that you have been making within the fields of your mind and heart and within your spirits. And we see how it has begun to manifest and ripple outward into your physical fields, though you perceive it not. We encourage this inner battling and overcoming. We encourage this transformation of inner being before the outer being. For we affirm that all that you see with your external perceptions is only a reflection of what took root and began long ago within. Thus, the work of the age is at once collective and at once solitary, for there is not another beside you within the confines of your mind. It is you, the self, capital S. And so we support you and commend you in this great working, the great work that is yourself, the overcoming of the limitations of lowercase s self and all of its baggage and emotional wounds and scars and its absorption of the collective external programming and social programming. We commend you for doing this great work of liberating the self, capital S, and ensure that this work is not little or lightweight, but it carries planetary implications. Our hearts are with you as you do these great inner workings. At this time, we would ask if there is a query we might offer our perspectives on, knowing more and more that you are the greatest source of inner truth, capital T, that there is. All that you truly require and truly desire is inside you, always has been, always will be. With that said, we offer ourselves now. We are Oxal.
I have a question, Oxal, if that's okay. I was wanting to ask about the elements, as in earth, air, fire, water. Now I know that Ra says that um, atoms and things are like points of awareness, and it's also been said that the first density is all about the interaction and balancing the interaction of earth, air, fire, water. Um, I just wondered if those archetypal things, um, uh, uh, whether they're kind of, I don't know, where their places in physics is really what I'm kind of getting at. Like, do they pertain to the spin of quarks, or the way that we perceive physics? What would be the closest analog? I suppose would be my best question. I hope that makes sense.
We are those of Oxal, and we will do our best through this instrument to address this query from our perception. There is no true analog in a material fashion, even if it is a material that has stepped down to the smallest aspect of creation components. Even this does not accurately describe, or nor is it an acceptable parallel to this process of the elements in their most primal form, birthed from intelligent infinity, this ancient movement, and learning from one another, so to speak, this timeless process does not have a parallel in your perception of reality that satisfies our understanding. One moment while we attempt to peruse this instrument's mind for some manner of similarity that we can offer. We are those of Oxal, and we have not found one. What you have said about the orcs and leptons, these words that you use, these creation components, they do not learn from each other the way that air and water and fire and earth learn from each other in this timeless dance that is the foundation of all that would come. They follow the patternings imbued within them by the second distortion, by love. Hence, there isn't a need for the learning from one another rather than in the dance and the proximity to one another. They gain experiential we're trying to find the word. We will settle for saying that they gain experiential nutriment, and when enough experiential nutriment has accumulated, then they may combine and expand and become more than what they are. So it is a becoming, it is a further expression of the patternings of love etched into their beingness, etched into their vibratory pattern that leads to further and further levels of evolution. They do not necessarily need to consult one another's beingness in order to unfold their own beingness. May we provide more clarity on this?
That was a wonderful answer. Thank you ever so much. I actually, you moved directly on to where I'd hoped to go, which was kind of what is first density experience, and the ultimate where I wanted to get to is how would a first density entity become harvestable, and would it be like the idea of say a noose atom, or like the atom that exists at the center of the human heart that kind of culminates in all the experience going through it, so it evolves? Would it be a process like that, or like alchemical perfection, bringing things to gold, those kind of parallels, or would it be kind of a resonant property of the plenum? I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to understand how the vibration raised at that level allows them to then become a second density entity from how would that step up happen is my question. Yes, it's sorry. For further context, it's like all atoms would seem to stay as atoms. I like their consciousness. How would that evolve, as it were, into something more than an atom?
We believe we understand the thrust of the query. We will do our best to convey our thoughts through this instrument, for you have touched on aspects of the creation that your mind, body, spirit complexes as a whole do not usually consider. This instrument has certainly not considered it too much. We are Oxal, and we call to mind what you have said, our brother, about atoms staying atoms. And yet, as you look at your hand, you will see no individual atoms as you look upon and move your flesh, and yet atoms, they are collections of many, many atoms. Such is the nature of intelligent infinity, to be wholly something unique, multi-layered, and expressed in a unique form, and yet ever retaining its essence as intelligent infinity, in the same way that atoms still remain atoms and hold their form and foundational beingness, even when assembled as the hand, the fingers, arms, and many other such organs that comprise the vehicle your soul occupies. There is the dance that those within the first density make with intelligent infinity. This dance, this rhythm of movement gathers the what we will call experiential nutriment in the moving and the dancing with intelligent infinity, the patterning imbued by love in an instantaneously randomized cosmic infusion will begin to unfold quite naturally. There is a process we can describe that is somewhat similar, in that as you watch a single-celled organism within a space, watching its movements and behavior over time, it will naturally transform and evolve in unique and sometimes unpredictable ways. It is not always understood, but has triggered this change, and yet we would say it is the interaction with the intelligent infinity within its own beingness. We cannot offer more clarity on how the creation components, this dance performed with intelligent infinity, what this looks like truly in human words, not accurately anyway, but we wish to convey that there is a dance at first density that you would perceive as movement with rhythm, and they do this dance with the infinite intelligence, and as they do it, the blueprint imbued within them by love begins to unfold and reveal their true patterning. That is to say, what they wish to express, what they will express within the creation. We show this instrument the ball of yarn, and this process is as the pulling of the string and the revealing of the many colors and aspects of the ball of yarn. And we say that love imbues the ball of yarn in totality, and its unfolding process is the removal, the pulling of the string to see what all is inside. You may ask us for clarification on any point.
So, could you describe the elements as being directions or movements inside that dance? So, then the atom's evolutionary path would be a case of balancing, and I suppose the ball of string would be the kind of the I don't know the correcting of or the outplaying of its existence. I suppose. I mean, is that a good way of visualizing it? And the different colors would be the different elemental movements it goes through.
We are in resonance with this explanation you have given, and we draw attention towards the reflection you have made on the directions, on the elements being expressions of directions of movement, the dance with intelligent infinity, and the colors being the outplaying, the pulling of the string, and the revealing of the colors being an outward expression.
That is all absolutely wonderful. My final question in this, if you don't mind, is the place of what are called elemental beings, fairies and dragons and other the mythical creatures throughout human history have been described as elemental beings, of being of one of those specific elemental natures. I was under some kind of impression that those fairies, those kind of entities, were essentially kind of the angels of that density. How correct is that as a understanding?
They are those of Oxal, and we appreciate this perspective of the elementals being the angels of this plane of experience, the elemental realms, for their purity and connection to the true nature of elements is of such an intensity that we find the term angelic appropriate. Does this satisfy the query?
Yeah, I was also hoping that there'd be a kind of further extrapolation of how it scales up. We're talking about the dance between an atom, or a quanta, and the directional dance with the creator. How does that scale up to entities? Sometimes far larger than a human, but still having that same elemental nature.
At this level, there would simply be a repeating of the process, but at that higher level, the dance does not stop. What it looks like will be unique for those of the elemental nature are not as the human nature. There would not be a need for repeat incarnations in order to have experiences and the opportunity to formulate a bias. The process is entirely different from the Homo sapien experience. For an elemental, those of this plane, it is simply an upward spiral of the same experiential nutriment accumulating dance, with the evolution being, aside from physical transformations of a kind, there being an increase in the awareness of self to that infinite intelligence and understanding of relationship to that infinite intelligence. When it has reached a point of great intensity, only then does the elemental look outward and perceive others as itself. First, its relationship to the externalized form of the element, of the planetary body. And only then, after exploring this relationship to planetary body, does it extend to awareness of human or whatever being it is associated with, for there are many elementals within different realms of existence. Elementals are not exclusive to Earth or human civilizations. At this level of awareness, then humans would have interaction. And to reiterate, this is an upward spiraling dance of relationship to intelligent infinity and the unfolding of the pattern that love imbued within them. When this relationship to intelligent infinity is understood to a certain intensity, then the awareness turns outward to the planetary expressions of elements and what is needed by the elemental, by these, for these externalized forms. And then it steps up to relationship and awareness of the human and interaction.
Thank you ever so much. That's such a fantastic answer. That's given me so much to think about. Uh, I would continue to ask, the relationship of human consciousness to magic and the ability for us to interact with those elemental forces, be it via elementals or the dance itself. But I wanted to see if Fred had any questions before, and if not, maybe could we come back to it if possible? So I don't want to, overstep.
We thank you, our brother, for the questions. And you are welcome to ask as many as you like, provided the instrument has energy to transmit. We are open to other queries at this time as well.
Thank you, Oxal. Before I ask my question, I had one tied to what Ed was asking. Could you briefly explain if does our soul, because you were talking about the different elements, including human bodies and our souls, does our soul contain atomic particles like our physical body, or does it not in this density?
We are those of Oxal, and we will ask for a restating of the query.
So does our soul contain atomic particles like atoms when it's in our physical bodies in this density as a mind body spirit complex, the same as our physical bodies do?
From our perspective, the soul does not contain atomic particles.
Perfect.
We will say there is no need for the soul to hold on to or have use of atomic particles as you know them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my main question is, since basically our universe consists of energy, frequency, and vibration, I think that the human aspect of that energy would equal emotion or energy in motion. What would you consider the human aspects of the frequency and vibration to be? Thank you.
We are those of Oxal, and we enjoy this query. Your energy in motion description is in resonance with our understanding of the power of your emotions. The frequency aspect, we would associate it with your ability to express various states within your consciousness. We see on your world that you associate this term with states of mind. We understand that you say there is an aligning to a higher frequency when you are thinking positive thoughts, when you are making transformations of an intense nature, and Yet we see this to be more consciousness related, yet the way that you use this word, frequency. And this would apply to the consciousness itself. We can make this comparison. We offer this comparison. Our brothers and sisters of other social memory complexes may not make the same comparison. But if your emotions are energy, then your consciousness expresses as modulating frequencies. The vibration is very unique in that it is the backbone of the two before it in our perception. It is how it is grounded and manifested in a somewhat perceivable form. If the emotion is love, its energy is in motion, it pairs with vibration. It expresses through vibration so that you may perceive it, and it may be perceived by reality. Vibration is like the carrier, the source that delivers that message into experience. And if the consciousness is the frequency, and you have shifted your consciousness into the frequency of peace, then through vibration, vibration will carry that frequency out into the field, so that on the one hand, it is perceived by those who can perceive it, but on the other hand, is rippling out and processed by the flesh, by the physical vehicle, to create those positive chemical and internal processes to benefit the physical vehicle in those biological ways, and then steps up to a higher level of expression as you do those acts of peace. This is our perception.
Wow. Okay. So, as I understand this, our energy, which is our emotion, pairs with the vibrations of an action to express our frequency, which is our consciousness. Correct.
We approve of what you have said, for it shows the interconnectedness and the dance of all aspects of this expression of beingness. We affirm its resonance.
Thank you.
We thank you. We would ask if there's another query on the heart of this circle before we depart this instrument.
If Fred's finished, I do have another question, if that's okay.
We are available for additional queries by yourself or our brother, Fred.
Well, I was going to refer back to what I said previously about the elements, and through a vast majority of magical practices I've read, the first step is forming a relationship with the elements, with using your consciousness to find a way of connecting to those elemental forces and those elemental energies. So my question was, what best way would the Confederation describe to go through that initiatory process, and what would an adept or as a white magician be hoping to do with the ability to utilize those elemental forces? Would be, yeah, I think that's the subject.
I am Oxal. Because we are of the Confederation, what we offer will never be called best. So, as with all of our words, they are mere suggestions. However, we would offer the idea of meditation upon each element in the form that you are used to seeing them in. For example, meditation with the flame in mind, or the gazing at the flame of the candle with receptivity and an intention set may reveal to you the inner nature of the flame. Similarly, one may do this with a body of water, gazing with single pointed attention at the ripples on the surface of the river or the ocean waves or the surface of a lake or pond. And in the meditation, with the externalized form of the element, with time we perceive that there would be more revealed about its inner workings. This will depend on individual and their level of adepthood. Yet it is possible to receive these inner truths and additional information about the elements. We suggest for the adept that the elements' purpose, one purpose, is for healing and balancing, as the externalized forms of the fire, the water, the air, the earth have their purpose and are in harmony. Metaphysically speaking, they can be used to bring the same harmony and balancing. In our perception, the elements are to be used most beneficially as healing tools, as balancing and cleansing forces within and without. But we also acknowledge that the adept may, through personal meditation with each element, discover additional uses, and we respect and encourage the free will expression of relationship with the elements that each has of their own. Does this satisfy the query?
It does. It also brings up another thought. So as we spoke about earlier, like like Ra said about the elements, the first density experience is about balancing the elements. What you're saying is that we can use them to balance ourselves. So could it be said that the human that each level comes down to balancing the elements at your specific density or your specific scale? But for us, it'd be the fire of emotion or you get what I'm saying? As a idea.
I am Oxal, and we appreciate this comparison. We find that it is acceptable in a way, in that you can liken the expression of each element perhaps to various stages in your growth through life. It is possible to express the dynamic between fire and water as the journey of discovering the light and dark portions of the self, those aspects of the self that seem not to be in harmony, that seems to be at odds, inherently inherently antithetical to one another in the way that fire and water are. And yet, you see, when the water and the fire combine, there forms these clouds of steam. We are showing this instrument, this floating up into the air, entering a new phase of beingness. One could take this and apply it to an example of finding resolution between a light and dark aspect of self, further being expressed as catalyst that resolves after bringing forth these polarities. This can be done if it is beneficial to the incarnate. Does this satisfy the query?
Yeah, very much so. Thank you. When you talk about healing, would you be talking about healing in the sense of Chinese medicine and how they talked about how the yin and yang being out of balance, these problems with the elemental parts? And if so, would you include the metal and the wooden parts that we don't have in the Western system?
We are those of Oxal, and we acknowledge this is one aspect. To include wood and metal is up to the individual. We refer to a different kind of working. a working that is primarily within the consciousness and within the emotional body, the elemental healing of the emotional and mental body. But we acknowledge there is the Eastern medicine that utilizes the elemental interactions in the subtle body that affect the physical body. Yet the emotional and mental bodies can also benefit from working with the elements in their metaphysical form.
Would that mean that if you were dealing with those kind of issues, would it be advantageous to call on elemental entities like fairies and others that we discussed to help balance those kind of emotional and blockages, or balance those elemental based issues in whichever energy body?
I am Oxal, and we would say this method will be highly dependent on the individual. It will not resonate, as you like to say, with everyone, but it is an option.
Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that. Elements have been something that I've constantly come in contact with, and I really appreciate you widening my view. So thank you ever so much. I appreciate it.
We thank you, our brother, for the queries along this line. We appreciate and enjoy the continued reference to these aspects of the infinite creator's beingness and expression. Also, because of their expression on your planet, on your Gaia, in abundance. And we see that there are many benefits to engaging with this aspect of the creation, of the creator that is always around you. There is water all around you, earth all around you, air all around you, and fires of life above you and below you in various forms. Often it is easier to begin to understand what lies beyond by focusing and connecting on that which is easily accessible to you with your current 3D senses. So we encourage the exploration of the mind and heart relationship to the waters you see with your eyes and can feel with your hands, and the earth you can touch and walk upon, and the air that you breathe, and the wind that you feel, and the fires of the solar body that shine upon you and that you make with the wood. For they will reveal what lies beyond with meditation, contemplation, and proximity. You may not be able to view the dance they perform in their more primal ontological forms, but you may gain glimpses through proximity as they are in your terms. Thus, we encourage fostering of the relationship with your Gaia in this way, to open to the teach learning that the elements offer in this form, or they lead to greater teach learnings beyond the form they show. Are there any other queries on the heart of this circle? We thank you, our brothers and sisters, for allowing us the space to not only share our vibrations with you, but to share our vibrations with all who may hear this and feel the depth of our light and love and our vibrations of compassion we are sending out to you always. We offer the further encouragement to hold the head up high as you go about your inner and outer workings. You are doing just fine. We leave you now, where we always love to find you in the light and the love of the one infinite creator. Adonai, my friends. Adonai.